Do you know, folks, what augmented reality is? Do you really know what augmented reality is? I can't see any of you right now. I got to put my glasses, my real ones, back on. Do you know what virtual reality is? You probably have some dim sense of what virtual reality means. But maybe you don't understand the potential that it has and augmented reality has to change your life, to change how you receive content or information, how you are entertained, and so forth. Well, get ready to learn about augmented reality and virtual reality from one of the really authoritatively pioneering forces in the field. Our next speaker is a lawyer, but at heart, he is a gamer, a guy who loves games and gaming, but more importantly, who understands that games and gaming are not just for fun. Please get ready to learn from Keith Boesky. Keith. And there you go.
Virtual reality is when we put a monitor in front of our face and we close out the world and put a new one there. Augmented reality is when we keep the world open and we insert objects into that world. Randy's given me the honor and pleasure of telling you everything about both in 15 minutes. And then he said, make it personal. So I thought about my journey of how I got to this point of standing in front of you and knowing what I do about virtual reality and augmented reality, and it starts 30 years ago last month when I finished my first year of law school in San Diego and I was diagnosed with cancer. You didn't think I was going to go there. And I found out about a treatment that was happening at Lawrence Berkeley Lab on the storied Bevatron that spit out Nobel prizes for about 50 years, where the smartest doctors in the world were using this machine to have a byproduct that treated with a pinpoint laser beam using heavy particle radiation and ions. And I was treated on a machine that looked like this. It looked a lot better in pictures. And this is the exact machine I went on every single day. I had my law school classes sent to me by a friend who was recording them, and they came in every day, FedEx in Berkeley. I was treated on this machine, and the good news is that it was safe. That's what they told me as they ran over their breath, saying, "It's safe, don't worry," to hide behind the 6-foot lead wall while I was locked into that headpiece. And I was cured. 2.5 years later, I married the woman who stood by my side, because when somebody does something like that, you don't let her go, and for 28 years I haven't. And I graduated from law school magna cum laude. And I realized that all of the long-term effects from the disease from having cancer were the treatment and not the disease. The fact that beard doesn't grow on the side of my face isn't a fashion choice, that's a treatment. So I joined a law firm that would help me support the companies that were working on the silver bullets and the genetic treatments, and that was Cooley. And I found two things very quickly. I discovered that a young lawyer working in biotech was mind-numbingly boring work. And I discovered Angel Studios, the company that made the graphics for the movie Lawnmower Man, that introduced virtual reality in the early 90s. And what I found with Angel Studios is that they were really making virtual reality. We were doing this in the 90s. You think it's a new thing, but it's not. That machine that you see right there is an SGI, Silicon Graphics reality engine, an RE2, that goes on eBay now for about $500 and makes a good coffee table. But right there, it was $1.5 million. And that's what they're using to make virtual reality. Some of the stuff made it to the market, some of the stuff didn't. And we were driven by this vision from Neil Stephenson and Snow Crash of the metaverse in this beautiful world. And now we're starting again with Ernest Cline, with Ready Player One and Steven Spielberg's movies coming out next month. They told us about people coming together virtually in all these beautiful colors. And it led last year to these analysts saying that we're going to sell millions and millions of units in the first year. And it kind of looks like maybe we did when you look at the results, but you have to see that the one on the right is thousands and the one on the left is millions. It didn't work out that way because virtual reality didn't work out that way. In the real world, we're not quite ready. It doesn't look like the promise. When we're wearing it, it feels like something that we were going to be unhappy about, and maybe 1984 really is 1984. The reason is we don't understand the medium to make the content. This is the guy who created, Gabe Newell is the CEO and founder of Valve, which created the Vive, the best-selling room-based headset, and even he says there's no good content for it yet. We have to figure it out. And there's nothing to be afraid of, because if we look at this graph and look at adoption relative to time, it takes time to figure out how platforms work. The easiest one for me to understand is television, because you see that it took 20 years. In 1939, it was introduced. In 1959, no surprise. Uncle Milty's sitcoms, we knew how to use it, and there's a hockey stick taking off. Airplanes, I don't understand, but somebody explained it to me once, and I'm sure someone in the audience understands. This is the very first blockbuster, and this is where we are with VR. I'm going to show you the whole movie. Okay, now I'm going to show it to you again. It's 4 seconds long. In 1894, people lined up around the block to pay their nickel to see this movie because they were blown away by the technology. And this is where we are. Technology is exciting, but the hardware is hard. This is a manual to install the Vive in your home. You shouldn't be curious why people aren't doing it right now. It's not dead. It's early. We're at a very early stage. And that's why what we're seeing is where we can deliver on the promise in arcades and location-based where people can set this up, we're really growing around the world, just like the video arcade machines and games. In the 80s. We're also seeing an uptake in Google Cardboard, which is the device that people hold in front of them. You might have seen it when the New York Times distributed these things. And it gives us the opportunity to deliver experiences that can't be delivered anywhere else. And the companies that are using them right now, like Greenpeace, was able to double signups just by being able to put people, immerse them in the environment in a way that we couldn't. This is the Vane company is using this for education, so enterprises using this to be able to educate people when they have tens of thousands of people around the world without having to bring them to one place, and also embed the work into muscle memory. This is to install power lines. And the reason it's effective, and the reason we have to be careful, because virtual reality really is reality. Virtual reality pioneer from the 18th century, the Baal Shem Tov and the founder of the Hasidic movement, said that you are where your mind is. And this was confirmed by Stanford researchers who said that kids exposed to virtual reality cannot distinguish 3 days out those virtual experiences from real memories, and they become real memories. Because our brains work in a way in virtual reality that we don't understand. Researchers at UCLA just showed that in a virtual environment, 1/2 of the neurons in your hippocampus turn off. I don't know if you know what that means. I don't. Neither do they. And we're seeing that it can be effective with medical because we can leverage the neuroplasticity of the brain to actually remap the brain. So pain treatment is effective with VR. There are kids with cystic fibrosis that couldn't feed or clothe themselves that are able to do it after VR treatments. Phobias and persecutory delusions, able to treat people with VR because we're remapping the brain. And we know those things are good because medical is never wrong. And for those of you in the back seats, that really is bare heroin and cigarettes for asthma and Quaaludes to have a really nice day. So we have to be careful about the medical implications, understand what's going on. If it's dangerous, of course, we'd never give it to our kids. 4 types of uranium in the Gilbert radiation playset. We don't know what these things are. So in short frequency, in short durations, and low-frequency entertainment applications like the arcades and the cardboard, it's wonderful. Giving it to your kids for 3 hours on a PlayStation VR, be very, very careful. We don't know what it is. The experts don't do that. But let's talk about something happy. Augmented reality. We got a beautiful world out there, and there's no reason to put on a blindfold and make a new one. But every once in a while, we want to know a little bit more about what that world is and what's going on. And that's what we're doing with augmented reality. People say it's going to be really big, and there are analysts that are going on and on and on and on about how big it's going to be, and they're telling us more and more, millions and millions, billions of dollars, big industry. But it'd be really disingenuous for me to tell you that I believe what they're saying, because I just told you that they didn't know what they're talking about with VR. I can tell you it's going to be really, really big. And the reason that I know that is if we go back to our friendly chart about adoption, we know that we've been doing this for a while and we've already been using it. This is augmented reality. So we know what works and we know what doesn't work. Does anybody remember the red streak playing hockey? We don't like that. Neither did Fox. And we learned that a while ago. And we're starting to see real-world implementations like Pokemon Go. Everybody in this room probably knows what that is. None of you have played it, but you know what it is, and that shows the impact. It's 752 million downloads. And they made the kids that are playing it walk 5.4 billion miles. Now, for those of you who raise kids in the video game generation, that's Nobel Prize worthy. They got kids to stand up and walk 5.6 billion miles with this augmented reality application. The people who are really driving the market right now are Snap and Facebook, and the people that are using it. There are hundreds of millions of downloads every day of the Facebook filters, and the Snap filters, and then Facebook followed on with filters that were changeable and customizable, and then Snap followed suit by releasing the very same thing. And Evan Spiegel, the CEO of Snapchat, says that they do this because people like to look like puppies. And that's nice, if people like to look like puppies, but there is no nutritional value. And I think that we can do something better. And we shouldn't worry about what the people like, because people don't know what they want. And if you give people the opportunity to control the platform, it goes to a really bad place very, very quickly. And the thing that Evan Spiegel learned last week is that if you rely on those people, they can destroy your platform, because they don't know what they want as much, what should be on the platform as well as you do. Fortunately, Google and Apple are coming to the rescue with the tools to make better virtual reality applications or augmented reality applications, and we're seeing really good ones happening right now. So if you look at these are just the very first AR kit applications, and if you look at that chair that was inserted into this environment, that looks like a chair. That's not a chair. That is an object, a 3D object that's inserted into the environment to see what that chair would look like. Here are some people that are inserted into an environment and just dropped right into the environment. And this is something that if you hold up your iPhone or your Android phone, you can be doing this. And here's a portal into another world, just randomly placed on the sidewalk, and people can walk by the sidewalk and walk in. There are useful things too, like tape measures you can pick up and stuff like that, but I thought these are pretty cool. And yesterday, Samsung launched the Galaxy S9 phone, and in the video for the phone launch, they showed the automatic translation service, and then they showed the augmented reality for enterprise in the phone. And this is really exciting. And I got to tell you, that translation service is very, 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 very valuable. I was on a run in Cologne, Germany, and I saw a sign, and I didn't understand what the sign said because it was only in German, and I held up my phone with my Google Translate, and I saw that I was about to run into a minefield. I don't know why they keep these things. I prefer museums. But they put this with a German sign, and this Google Translate actually and literally saved my life. And I know it's really important for this audience, so I wanted to show this one in there. For all of you who are thinking about getting a tattoo, I'm sure you want to see what it's going to look like on your body before you do it. So you can download this application, and you can see what your tattoo is going to look like before you make that decision. Now, how many of you have Yelp installed on your phone? So a bunch of people have Yelp. Of those people, how many of you know that there's an augmented reality application built in? That you can actually hold up your phone on the street and you can see the reviews above all the restaurants. So you're very surprised. I got a surprised look from you. And everybody's surprised. Nobody raised their hand on that. This was introduced in 2009. So all of these great augmented reality applications are being built and being used, except they're in the wrong place because phones aren't good for anything. Phones are hurting us. They're hurting our posture. If you don't care about anything else, worry about our kids. 70% of our young people have been bumped into and 51% bumped into things because they look at their phones. We have to protect them. We're changing our cities based on phone use. This is the bridge at my son. My son goes to Rensselaer Polytechnic, RPI, one of the top engineering schools in the world. And they had to build a bridge over this not very busy street to make sure the little engineers didn't get picked off like lemmings as they're walking across looking at their phones. This is the future of our country. We have to protect them, free ourselves, and break that data out from behind the glass confines. Because when we put augmented reality in the right place, magic things happen. This is an ad from Pepsi where they put it into a bus station.
I just do what I do. See me, I just do what I do. Man, I just do what I do. You know if I do, I just do what I do. Check. That's the intro. See that? Yeah. I just do what I do. See me, I just do what I do. Yo, check. Let me flip this script. I feel privileged for all who can witness this. I am close to divine. Though the moment is mine, the moment of sign. I sprint. To all the squares that ask around, we getting it. My skills pay me. Trying to get a million, baby, with an adopted flow that God gave me. Now, tell whoever runners that they spot is temporary till I.
I think I got that one.
Tell Miss I'm on my wealth tip. So when we cash out soon, I'm just investing.
I'm telling you, this is how it works, man. There's a little camera right here.
So this is how it works. A lot of people are looking at putting VR or AR in the right place, and they're putting on people's heads. And we're seeing solutions that are tethered, solutions that are portable, and solutions that are mobile. And you just saw, Tyler just had the solution that's portable, and this is the one that I believe in. And it's the only self-contained smart glass in the world. And it brings augmented reality to anyone, and simple enough for the man on the street to be able to use it. There aren't a lot of these things, and Mark Zuckerberg and a lot of smart people think that these are 5 or 10 years away, and that's because augmented reality glasses are really, really hard. I don't know what that equation says. When I typed in hard on Google, it gave me this. But this is, and it's got AR in there, so this is for you to remember. AR glasses are hard. The company that made these glasses has been working on them for 35 years, and this is the 9th generation of glasses to bring it to you. But when we do, it's really effective. This is using GE's Skylight program, and it's the same person going through a complex task, making an installation, And he's wearing the glasses under the heading skylight, and you can see on the blue line how his progress accelerates, and ultimately he's able to accomplish this task 34% faster than if he was trying to do it from a manual. We've also used these in the military in Afghanistan for situational awareness, where all those soldiers were able to see what was happening overhead, and when they encountered somebody, they could do a retinal ID and a facial scan to see who this person was that they were talking to. For the TSA here, we can see gait detection and emotion, retinal ID to see people walking through the airport. In medical, the doctors are using it to be able to bring vitals into the operating field. We've got a back surgery, went from 45 minutes and dangerous to 30 seconds and safe. Doctors don't have to go like this to walk over to look at the MRIs anymore. Everything's right there, and if they want a second opinion, they look in the field and they say, glasses, call Dr. Bob, and Dr. Bob picks up his phone on the golf course and tells somebody what to do. Hazardous locations. If you've got an emergency breaking out, these are really being used by BP right now. If you've got an emergency breaking out on an oil rig and the expert is hours and hours away by plane, put the glasses on and that expert's able to sit at their desk and tell the person what to do and draw pictures in the glasses and show them. Data visualization. For me, this is like spreadsheets. To take complex data, and you just heard earlier today that data is the future, to take complex data and be able to stand in the middle of it with colleagues and look at it and look for anomalies and patterns is really going to change the way that we do business. Consumers have different needs, though. We're in half of the Fortune 500 companies right now. If I hold these glasses up, they tell us what to do in enterprise, but consumers are a challenge. And I believe that one of the things we're going to change is advertising. We move advertising from a blast to the intersection of person, location, and time. So now advertising becomes useful and non-interruptive. But we can go one step further, and shot through these glasses, I can show you how we actually remove advertising altogether. This is the one that very sadly my wife likes an awful lot. So instead of an email in the morning coming to you from Saks or Neiman's or Net-a-Porter, you're able to actually have a whole wardrobe in your home that you can walk around with a retinal identification certifying that this is you, and so that you can make the purchase, and then choosing the things that you want. And when I showed this to my wife, she said, I would wear the glasses for that, and you are talking to Net-a-Porter, aren't you? This is a real application we built for MasterCard and Saks Fifth Avenue. When we're commuting, we can put the glasses on and we can have screens on the glasses with a Bluetooth keyboard, because when is the last time you flew that the person next to you wasn't working on something confidential? So this is an actual screen shot through the glasses of a Citrix desktop happening inside the glasses, and we don't have to stop there because we can have an unlimited number of screens. And if you stop me to look at the demo, I'll show you a demo with multiple screens in there. The worst place to watch a sporting event is at the event. We can put these glasses on and you have the same commentary, the same graphics that you have at home happening at the event. I know all of you are just itching to be at NASCAR right now instead, so you know we can get you these glasses to do that. And then the home viewing experience changes as well. I've got a demo that shows you this also, where we break the play out from the screen and let you walk around the tabletop from the top and see what's happening. And then for everybody who built a train set, and I know there are a lot of you in the audience who did because I did it, forget about the little pieces and trying to get the thing to work and figure out why the electricity isn't running around, because this is the new train set we built in the office. But the reason that we do these things, and some of the most exciting stuff happened and came to me out of a really obscure comment somebody made at a conference. When I said these are smart glasses, somebody looked at me in a smart-ass kind of way and said, if they're so smart, can they make blind people see? And actually they do.
I use a white cane and a guide dog to get around. That's my guide dog, Poncho.
At this point, I can no longer see faces clearly.
So all of my life, I've been legally blind.
If you took my vision and you were about 5 feet away from me, this is what you'd see.
And now, of course, picking up a book and reading is just about impossible. I'm interested in any device that would help me keep my life as normal as possible. I think that it would be just terrific to be able to read, sit in a chair comfortably.
I just read the bus information for Orange County Transit Authority. If I take these glasses off, I would not be able to read any information on that side.
Amazing to be able to see things that are just fuzzy or non-existent, like seeing the faces of people, going to a gallery, and perhaps even seeing a movie.
New Eyes for the first time was a life-changing experience. First of all, as a performer, I got to see my audience for the first time, and that was kind of amazing.
Now this writing I can read very easily.
I love that it just focuses in. Like, oh, I can finally watch TV like a normal person.
It gives you a great feeling of power.
And that makes me realize the reason that we're really doing this. It's fun to talk about a lot of the other things, but that's the stuff that really knocks me back. And for anybody in the audience that thinks that I might have made the wrong decision and maybe taking that fork in the road took me off of my original journey, as a man who has the faith that there's a plan for everyone, I can show you this last thing. Those are cancer cells that are lighting up, and the surgeon who's working on that patient is able to see them light up to make sure that the treatment that he's providing does not leave a long-term effect that's worse than the disease. And it lets me support that effort. So thank you very much. If anybody wants a demo, just grab me and I'm happy to show you what we got.